Hi everyone, how's it going? My name is Bear. Thank you for coming. Um, this is the third part of our little mini series. I'll probably create a playlist because mental phenomenon is a big part of the mystery schools, and so I'll create a playlist probably for these once I learn how. um, so that way I could just we could keep a lot of these kind of together. Anyway, so moving on. The first video in the series was about the mind and how it has many rooms and how your consciousness moves about throughout those rooms. We talked about how there's things that can live in the house that is your mind that you don't even realize that are there because they're like in the basement or in the back room or something like that, and they only become visible when you become conscious of them, when your consciousness begins to observe them, kind of like the Eye of Sauron on Lord of the Rings, where the great consciousness, it moves around and then suddenly it's being, everything else is kind of gone, and it's only when you observe it that you become aware of it. It enters your consciousness. So it's still there, it's still doing its thing, but you're just not aware of it. Okay. Then the second video, we discussed how to strengthen the sacred feminine. We talked about coloring. We talked about meditation. And we talked about observing your feelings. Just taking a minute, saying, okay, this is how I feel. Identifying to the best of your ability how you're feeling, where in your body you're feeling it, and where that feeling comes from. And it's just an exercise. You don't have to be a rocket scientist or a therapist, right? You just say, I'm feeling really stressed out. I'm feeling it right here in my guts. Because it's stressful. You feel it in here, or you feel real sad, and so it kind of hurts in here a little bit. Cool. So in this video, the final one, we will be discussing the sacred masculine and how to strengthen the sacred masculine side of your mind. Now, these exercises will be fantastic if you're someone who is similar to my mother. I use my mother as an example all the time, without her permission, because I love her so much. But she's very pure. She's like a pure sacred feminine person, right? She's exists in her heart, and all love, all compassion. She's an empath. She really struggles with anytime anyone is ever hurt, even people she doesn't know. She can't let it go. She's just all emotion all the time. And so if you're someone who's like that, who dwells in the sacred feminine side of things, the intuitive side of things, the things that don't live in the sacred masculine, this will be these are good exercises for you, because it'll help build that thing. So let me, I just realized I was going to use an example, and I don't think I have it on my phone. I wanted to show you this because it's one of the exercises, and then I started the video, and because I'm so stubborn not to pause it, I'm just gonna have to give me a second, because I'm not a stubborn guy. Just ask my wife. Okay, perfect. We're good. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, so how to strengthen the sacred masculine. There's a couple of I need to trim my mustache. My mustache hairs are going up my nose. The sacred masculine is things that are quantifiable in nature, right? So things like math, science, engineering, all that kind of stuff that can be written on a piece of paper. So, like with the sacred feminine, you have to give the opposite gender in your mind something to do, because otherwise it's going to get in the way. So, one of the things that I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. Oh, I'm glad you're patient with me, you folks, because I'm not going to edit it. I'm a person. I'm sorry. Anyway. So you have to give the sacred feminine something to do. So with most of these exercises, what you're going to do in the background, you're going to put on some very chill music. Well, it doesn't even have to be chill. It just has to be music that isn't distracting, and that you like, and that doesn't have words you understand. Adding words that you understand is going to turn on your sacred masculine and moving sacred masculine over to the music, and we don't want that. That's not what we want. We want to keep the sacred masculine where we want it. We need to focus on the sacred masculine. So there's a few things that I really like. I really like a Gregorian chant is a really good one. There's a lot of, I'm a big fan of there's a new genre that has recently come out. It's basically Viking music. So Danheim is a really good one. Maybe I'll probably link them down below. I really like them because they, a lot of tonal sounds, a lot of chanting. I can't understand the words, which is great, which is really good. I like Tibetan throat singing quite a bit. So there's some of these that are just really good, that they make your heart feel good, and which is really what's important. You want your heart to feel good. And so you let the emotional part of your mind and your body be focused on the music, so your sacred masculine can be put to a task. Okay. And this is part of the trick of learning. This is why a lot of people struggle with learning, because they try and shut out everything and try and focus on it, and then their mind starts to wander. Then they use up all their energy trying to make their mind stop wandering. In the monkey mind, we talked about the monkey mind. They spend all their energy fighting with the monkey mind, and they can't get as much stuff into their brain. So part of that trick is to give that whichever gendered portion that is bothering you, that keeps talking in your mind, you give it a task, right? So once you get your sacred feminine a task, the music, then you start doing some of the things we have you do is math. Not everyone's cup of tea. I hate math. But just sitting down and doing stupid problems, right? 1 + 1 is 2. 2 × 2 is 4. 3 - 1 is 2. Okay. It's actually better if it's just a little challenging. Just a little challenging. You're not having to be like a rocket scientist and solve these monumental equations. Just math that is just hard enough that you have to think about it. Right? It's no good if you just, if you're just clicking it off like that because your mind already knows the answer. You want it to be just strong enough to think about. Whatever your math level is. Long division for me has always been a problem. Always really struggle with that. And so even now, I'm 32. I will be on the 12th, on June 12th, by the way. That, I still struggle with long division. So I'll sit here and I'll just pump out some long division while listening to music. And that helps strengthen that sacred masculine. It gives it something to do. Same token, memorizing is fantastic for building the sacred masculine while listening to the same music. I love the music thing because it gives your sacred feminine something to do, so you can work out the formulas for things. So again, it's better in terms of an exercise if the stuff you're memorizing is not as interesting as it could be. So having said that, I did kind of the opposite when I was learning. I started memorizing Irish folk music. My grandfather is Irish. He used to sing a lot of Irish songs. And so I grew up loving folk music. And so I would start to memorize just a bunch of Irish songs, and I'd pump them out in my head, just learn to memorize. It's better. It's not as interesting, but it's better for the exercise, for the sake of lifting weights. Remember, for the sake of lifting mental weights, to pick something that's not interesting to you at all. Something that's boring. I don't even really have any good examples up here. But some stuff that's like Golf Magazine or something like that. I don't know what you're interested in, but pick something that is painfully boring for you and memorize it. It's just part of the exercise. And that is fantastic exercise for building the sacred feminine. And don't forget, I said sacred feminine. I mean, for building the sacred masculine. Don't forget, have the music on when you're doing this. Give your sacred feminine something to do. Okay, it's so much easier when you give her something to do. You'll have a lot less fighting going on in your mind while you're working. All right, that's just mental science. It's just, work within the law instead of fighting it. It just makes things easier. So the last one I wanted to show you is there's this game. You can find a lot of these kinds of games online. It's called Unblock Me. See it? Now, this is mostly what I did. You have something like this, right? Now, the goal of the game is to get this red block through that hole. All right, so you got to move the blocks around a little bit. It's hard doing this looking at the screen. See? Hooray! I've done it. Now, here's the trick. And now this is the way you build up your sacred masculine. Try and solve the entire puzzle to the best of your ability without touching the screen. Try and solve the puzzle first without touching the screen. Then only once you think you've solved it, move the blocks and see if you can. All right. You're going to fail. That's fine. What we're doing is just working muscles. You're working mental muscles. I spent a lot of time doing this. A ton of time doing this. This is primarily what my task was. And it gave me amazing results. Right. You don't notice it at first, but after a couple of weeks of spending a good hour on this each day, and preferably 2, we don't mess around in the mystery schools. We make you work. You're going to have amazing results by just trying to solve the puzzle without without touching the screen. And then, of course, these get harder and harder and harder. Again, the name of this app, this game is called Unblock Me, if you're interested. I like it. It's not like Candy Crush or something that has a timer or anything like that. It's just a very chill game, no flashy lights, which is important. You don't want things that are flashy and, fancy sounds and, things that fry your brain. You don't want you don't want to go to a casino, for example. This is perfect. If you don't like using a screen like this, set up a chessboard if you like board games and try and play a whole game as far as you can without touching the pieces. Just things like that. And those are fantastic exercises for building the sacred masculine. Well, I appreciate you all for sticking with me. This has been a lot of fun. I've never pumped out 3 videos in one day before, but it worked out pretty good. And so, if you stuck with me, thanks. I am going to put these in a playlist, and along with some other videos I think are applicable to mental science. And we will I'll see you around. All right? Bye.